And preparing to live stream the meeting.
It says it's live on YouTube now.
It does?
Yeah. On my end, it says meeting is not streaming live on YouTube. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh man, I gotta mute it because it's there we go.
Yeah, it's great content for the viewers at home. I'll edit this part out, I suppose, after the fact. Anyways, well, welcome to Great Hang, the show that usually doesn't have this many technical difficulties. Chris Gersbeck is camping like a bitch this week. So filling in for Chris, I have the Twin Towers of comedy themselves, Boris Hyken, Jericho Davidson, the other 2/3 of Bushwick Bears. Welcome, fellas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Cool. What would you say? I was too loud?
No, I said what up.
Shit.
Oh, yeah. Is this on delay or are we all just stupid?
I think we're stupid.
Yeah.
The YouTube is definitely on delay. I don't know if I should close it or what. I don't know how these things work. I haven't done it before.
I'll check it out.
Weird.
I'll check it out after the fact because, like, is there a YouTube chat going?
Man, I don't know what's going on here. It's definitely on a delay because it's on like a good 30-second delay, I think. But that's good.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's in case anybody.
SNL keeps it padded in case a penis falls out or something.
Right. Yeah. Or Colin just says the N-word. You know.
Gotta cut that out.
Well, did that happen?
No. But
no, I mean we don't know. They got a delay.
Yeah, not publicly at least.
Of all people, I don't think he would be the one.
Yeah, that's exactly. They didn't catch Jenny Slate saying fuck.
Yeah,
that year that she said it.
I think that's when they adjusted the delay maybe or something after that.
Oh, okay.
I remember one time I was doing morning radio, right? I was promoting a show in some town. I was doing morning radio and everything was going great. One of my buddies who lived in that town is sober, right? Like in the program sober. He's a comic, great dude. Very funny, but he's in the program and we decided we were gonna do it together. He picked me up. We went and I was like, I was super hungover from the night before. So I bought a bottle of tequila. It's 7:30 in the morning and we're going, it's like old school. It's I'll just say it's the Frank show. It's the world famous Frank show. And I go and I'm a bit of bottle of tequila. I've done it before. We're buds. So we're chilling. And the whole time I'm so focused. I'm like, I'm not going to drop the F-bomb. I'm going to do so good. I'm drinking tequila. We're having fun. I'm telling all these crazy stories. And I tell this story about a time at a party and we started playing piss roulette.
And what's piss roulette?
Piss roulette is there are 10 shot glasses. 9 of them have tequila. 1 has human piss.
Oh, great.
Right? And really, they weren't shot. They were squirt bottles. And he was, because the reason why I tell the story is because he was there as a sober person. I had taken all sorts of mushrooms, and I was wasted out of my mind. And he was my anchor.
So if he's sober, that means he has to drink the piss, right?
That would have been probably better for me. But the whole time he was my anchor, right? In this story where I was tripping so hard, these people are playing piss roulette. I'm betting money. There's like a guy going, I had to do this, $10 on this guy, $10 on this guy, and it's going, everything's hilarious. But I keep looking at my friend Josiah, and I told him, it's like, every time I look at you, because I'm tripping so hard, just give me a thumbs up, make sure everything's okay. And he kept doing this, right? And so I'm telling this story about piss roulette, which is one of the funnest times I've ever had because everyone was screaming, yelling. I won $120 I bet my pony came through and didn't drink the piss.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean your pony? So it's not. Can you explain the rules of piss roulette?
Okay, so here's piss roulette. There are 2 human people, right? There are 10 squirt bottles, all right, little spray bottles.
Yeah.
They're all wrapped up. You can't see what's in them. There's 10 of them. 2 are filled with human piss, and then 8 are filled with tequila. So each person has 5. right? And you go back and forth. You pick one, and then someone else sprays it in your mouth, and you're like, oh, tequila, oh, tequila, oh, tequila, oh, piss.
Or piss.
Or piss.
Yeah.
But while this was happening, there was a guy taking bets. This was at this party, and this guy was taking bets, and I threw down all the cash I had on person A to not get the piss, right?
Yeah.
And turns out person A didn't get the piss.
Oh, nice.
So I won 120 bucks. I won 60 bucks. I had 120 bucks.
Oh,
but
cool.
my buddy Josiah was there when this was happening, and I was tripping so hard on mushrooms that I was kind of like, is this even really happening? What's going on? And every time I looked at him, he gave me the thumbs up. He was he's in the program. He knows you're my sponsor right now. You're my anchor. Just give me one of these whenever if I go too far. And he was like, okay, cool. We're good. We're having fun. So fast forward a couple years later, we're on this morning radio, and I'm telling this story, right? Mind you, Josiah is sober. He's in the program. He's got a kid. He's a clean comic, basically. He keeps dropping F-bombs on accident. The whole time. And the whole time, I'm doing so good. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm drunk. But I am not saying I didn't do it. I did so good. I'm being hilarious. I'm not saying the F word. But then all of a sudden, I say, and my horse drank the piss. Or I said, my horse didn't drink the piss.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see the radio guy press the delay button real quick. And I was like, what? I didn't say the F-bomb. He goes, yeah, you're also not allowed to talk about drinking human things.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So,
I mean, if it's morning zoo radio.
So after all that, after everything I did, I'm telling this hilarious story. And because I had said, my horse didn't drink the piss, I was the one that got the fucking delay button pressed, you know?
Wait, you can't say drink the piss when the whole thing that you're doing is a competition where somebody might drink piss?
Yeah, you just can't actually say drink the piss.
But everybody knows what you're referring
Everybody
to.
knows what I'm talking about. I think I called it.
So you got to be like,
roulette.
I lost. So blah, blah, blah. Or, yeah. It's, that's why that sort of crap's going away. Like that, like morning radio as a medium or whatever, like it, and it's all serious and stuff like that because it's all unfiltered.
Well, it's interesting also, though, because part of the appeal of the whole thing with Howard Stern was like he's saying the stuff you're not allowed to say. And those rules kind of made it a little fun playing with trying to break them. But then you go to Sirius or you go to podcasts and there's no rules. You say whatever the hell you want. So you kind of don't have that fun game anymore to play where you piss off the sponsors or piss off the FCC or whatever.
I miss those days.
Those early Howard Stern things are so much more intense than anything I've ever done.
I miss those. No, for sure. And I wasn't allowed to listen to Howard Stern, I think, when I was a little kid, or not that little, but even just one, we didn't have it on our market. We were in the Midwest, so we were Bob and Tom.
Yeah, I didn't have it either. I didn't even know about Howard Stern until the movie came out.
Yeah, I didn't know about Howard Stern until the 6th grade. And he was already the biggest radio DJ or shock jock or whatever in the country.
Well, I remember the reason I watched Private Parts was because I knew who Jenna Jameson was, and in the movie they got her to do that trick where she sat on the speaker and orgasm from him making the noises, which I was like, I was in high school when that came out. I'd be like, that's cool.
That movie was kind of how I was introduced because I also thought it was for construction workers who eat beans from a can. I thought that's who Howard Stern was for. Yeah. And then I saw Private Parts and I was like, oh, it was really funny. And I was like, oh, this dude's really funny. And then also beans from a can are pretty good. And now not too snotty for that. Other than doing morning radio, before I was a comedian, I was a bartender. It was I never was awake for morning radio ever in my life.
Yeah, the best morning radio times I had were when I was hungover. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You meant as a listener. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I've always had like a fucking lunch pail job with a can of beans that I took to work. So I was always listening to some kind of fucking morning radio, or I guess until CDs came along, or I had my own car. I just blared corn instead. But
the one time I tried. I had a mental breakdown in like about 2009, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get out of the service industry. I'm not gonna be in bands anymore. I'm not gonna do anything, right? And I tried to get a normal job, and a person like me with like no skills and looking how I look, I got a job in a furniture shop building furniture, which was actually not bad job. I didn't mind it at all.
That still checks out. Like if you said hedge fund manager, I would have been blown away.
Yeah.
No, so I was in this furniture. I left like the service industry, and I started working in this furniture shop, and it was cool. I didn't mind the work. Like building furniture was kind of fun, like woodworking and stuff.
Yeah.
But if all I was allowed to listen to, because the person who actually ran my shop, not the owner of the company, but like the little shop, I was in the finishing shop basically. Like so
the manager.
Yeah, the manager of the finishing shop, because there were 3 of us in the finishing shop. It was a tiny little shop, but the manager of the finishing shop only let us listen to NPR. So the only time, I couldn't even listen to like the daytime radio. I would try to, and she would be, because she was this crazy, like really mean, like super butchy lesbian who hated my guts. But she like, if I would try to put it on the morning radio, she'd get only NPR, and so she'd put it back on NPR, and we'd have to like work listening to NPR. I don't mind NPR.
I miss those days though, where we had like kind of that monoculture because there was something to rebel against. And now that we have no social mores as a society anymore, it's all garbage. And
no,
so
it's
like
flipped.
There's something like
there's something to rebel against, Derek. You know damn well there's something to rebel against.
No, oh, what? Like, no, I mean like culturally, like, okay, so here's the thing is you have all these people they can express whatever sort of thing that's not taboo anymore. You can be a drag dancer putting poppers in your asshole in front of children in a library, and if it's socially acceptable. So it's like,
but you talk about fiscal conservatism, and that shit is gonna get
right. Yeah, if you talk about hate, maybe we shouldn't have so much interventionist policy. You're like, oh no, you hate-filled bigot, and well, that's the thing too. Is like,
well, I got to admit, Derek, you know why? It's because for years, drag queens weren't allowed to put poppers in their ass in front of children. Okay.
I know, and we've been holding them down categorically through our hate-filled actions. It's fine if that's like your thing. Like, that's the thing I miss about comedy, like, and everything. Because I remember like comedy used to be like it's like going to a club or like a speakeasy, and it was like an experience and stuff like that, where it was like you address things that were socially taboo, or you could make jokes, and then now it's like everybody seems like they have to have like the current propaganda slogan embedded within their comedy. Yeah, an agenda. And I want to make fun of everybody. Like, I think I catch shit from conservative friends of mine if I make fun of Trump. And then liberal people unfollow me on Twitter for making fun of Biden. It's like,
I think that's good if you're pissing everybody off. It's obviously a cliche, but if everybody's getting pissed off, that means you're somewhat free thinking as opposed to like playing towards that one side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean,
so.
I just wonder. It's like, I don't know. So here's what I've been thinking about lately. And things are much different than like when I started comedy. When we all started comedy, we all started basically around the same time. So what was different about now is that the same shit basically offended the same people. But back in the day, the dudes that were at the clubs didn't fucking care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the end of the road for those guys. And that's what was so fun about the clubs is, like I said, they were all fucking ex-cons. They were all ex-junkies. They were all like dudes that had 3 divorces. That like this was the only thing left they could do for money is they had like 45 minutes of the same jokes they'd been telling for 15 years, and they would do all those B-room clubs, and they were fucking awesome and hilarious, and they were so much fun to be around. Yeah, it was sad and depressing sometimes, but they didn't fucking care if someone didn't like their jokes. But the only difference now is they wouldn't lose their job if someone didn't like their joke.
Well, probably because they didn't really have a job if they're in that dire straits. Yeah.
Well, no,
they wouldn't lose their comedy job. No, I get it.
Dude, Hippie Man was touring up until COVID. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm just saying. Shout out to the Hippie Man or anybody that fucking knows him.
I got you.
He was still on the road, is all I'm saying.
I don't think that, and to have a nuanced opinion about it, I don't know that it's like if it's just market correction to some extent, because if like the comedy audience doesn't really want you to talk about that sort of thing. I mean, we do enough comedy in clubs or when clubs were open that if you go to a comedy club, the comedy club people generally want jokes. If you do shows in like Brooklyn, they want, bullet points as to how you support all their causes and how white dudes suck, which is fine. It's like, if there's a market for that, then go play to it. It's just like, but when it starts to turn into people canceling each other, like you said, when it gets to a point where comics cancel comics for jokes, that's the only part that I just don't agree with. Like, if you want to cancel somebody for being a sexual predator or for being shitty to people, fine, whatever, but like as long as they broke laws.
Honestly, I mean, there's no ideal world here, but in my opinion, like if somebody is a sexual predator or whatever it is, ideally you don't cancel them, you charge them with a crime. Obviously the problem,
sure, yeah,
the problem is obviously that like whether it's a culture or whether there's failures in the criminal justice system, but
but what do you do about Jeff Ross, for example? Like, I mean, he has to go through a civil court thing.
In my opinion, probably nothing, because I have no idea how 20 years after the fact I'm supposed to have any real perspective. Because if there is a, I mean, look, a 33-year-old having sex with a 15-year-old is a crime. Like, theoretically, if a crime was committed there, I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but the only thing you really can do is charge somebody with a crime. Morally, honestly, like, I'd be lying if I said I gave a shit, because I don't know these people, and there's bad things that happen all over the world. And ideally, the way things work is you have a system set up where you can, like, never perfectly, but like have some way that people get justice. But as far as like trying to do something based on tweets I read from whatever, like, I'm sorry, but it just feels fucking masturbatory to me.
So what if I agree with what you're saying there, but what if like Jeff Ross hits us up? He's like, hey, can I get a spot on Bushwick Bears?
Yeah.
Do we give him, okay.
Yeah, I would give him a spot. I mean, at this point,
you're not worried at all. See, so you're not worried at all by the backlash that you would think that the show could potentially receive from fellow comedians?
I'd say it depends on the context, but again, it's one of those things where, like, if we have a show at a club with a paying audience and there's not really a backlash there, like, that's the other part of this is like there's a weird thing right now where there's been a bubble of like unpaid comedy seen by people who don't pay to see comedy, and all of that backlash stuff exists in that world. And in the world where there's an actual like marketplace of people that pay money to see comedy and people that are paid money to perform comedy, there's like a tiny fraction of this culture that we're talking about. Like, it doesn't really exist.
It definitely doesn't. I mean, TJ Miller is still headlining shows all over the country.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like nobody will put him up at like Union Hall. Or I keep shitting on Union Hall every show, but I shouldn't. But I mean like
the shit that you're talking about, Derek, is such like a specific point of like our comedy lives.
Sure. Well, yeah, we got into I know. We got into Inside Baseball, which I said I was never going to do on this show. Then the whole last episode, I talked about Inside Baseball because Chris was really pissed off about something. But no, I guess it is into the weeds because it's specific about what we're talking about right now. But like you still can't joke about whatever it is that you want to joke about. It does seem though that the industry, like we have to exist right now basically in a direct to consumer marketplace and to forgo like the industry because the industry puts up garbage a lot of times.
And that's part of what this is too, is like an industry backlash to a whole environment where they lack control now. And so the way you can control people is still by trying to like have, and don't get me wrong, like the wrongdoing aspect is still there. And I recognize that people will do shitty stuff, but like, it's like a locus of control. It's not within my control to have any really educated perspective on whether somebody did something wrong or not outside of knowing if they were charged with a crime. And also, just to be clear, if somebody did something wrong and they got charged, and rape is such like, or like sexual stuff is so like awkward to talk about, but let's go further. Let's say Jeff Ross fucking murdered somebody 20 years ago and he served his time and he came out, I would book him on a show.
Oh, if he served his time, that's the thing though, is that these people are saying that this is a real crime and that he's not facing punitive measures for it. So you have to make him suffer in some regard, and they want to hurt him monetarily, is what it comes down to. And,
yeah, I mean, I get it.
And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's right.
You're describing a perspective.
Yeah, I'm just saying like that's what it seems like it is.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to when there's so many people out there, and if I just assume that it's always possible for there to be bad faith actors in any of these things. It's possible for Jeff Ross, who's been in the industry for mad long, to have somebody who fucking hates him or somebody that's crazy whose path he crossed. And I know I'm supposed to like, I don't even want to like go on the believe women thing because people just view it under such different contexts. But like, yeah, I have no idea. And you know what? I watched some of that stuff and it was fairly convincing. And it's a little bit weird to hear. But
I know. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't book anybody who just got out of prison because I don't believe in prison reform. One bit. I don't think prison can reform you as a person. I've been really worried. We'll get off of this topic because I've been thinking about it. I take that back in case this person ever hears this podcast. But I've been thinking about this dude I've known since I was a little kid, right? Since like third grade, I've known this kid, and he grew up to be a murderer. And I've made jokes about it, and I've kind of talked about
your bodybuilding bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny because I've heard that bit a lot, but you never mentioned what he went to jail for. I didn't realize it was
murder.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't really buddies after like 8th grade, we'll say.
When did the murders happen? 9th grade?
No, the murders happened 2 years after high school, actually.
Okay.
But it was just one murder. And he maintains his innocence, but he is serving life. It was like 25 to life or 20, but he was eligible for parole after 21 years or something like that. And it's basically coming up within the next couple of years. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, damn, what would I say to this person if I ran into them by happenstance again? Because I've made jokes about it in the sense of like, kids think they're like bullied today by the computer and whatnot. Like the only person I've ever been choked out by is in jail for murder. So I don't want to hear you pussies complain about being bullied. My bully was a murderer, potentially, allegedly.
You know, it'd be really funny if like he gets out and like you said, like he's not recuperated, but he knows he'll get back to jail if he murders again. So instead he like gets his like personality disorder, like he expresses it by like cyberbullying and doing the new version of that. I can't murder anymore or I'll go back to jail. So I'm just gonna call girls fat on Instagram.
Yeah,
And get
he's gonna have
out.
a MAGA Twitter account.
Right, exactly.
That scratches the endorphin itch he needs.
Exactly.
That he misses from murdering.
He's like, hell yeah! I just called a bunch of LGBTQ people fags on Twitter, and so now I'm now that morphine.
It's so weird. Like I have an uncle in prison doing a double life. He did some terrible shit and killed a couple people in a very gruesome way. I met the dude once before he went to jail. Well, maybe when I was little, I don't remember. I only remember meeting him once. And if I got a call and it was him, I don't know what I would do. I mean,
I'm not.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because I never knew the person.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
my whole life it was just that. Yeah, he's in Florence doing double life for a really vicious murder during a robbery. You know. So it's like he is my family member.
Right. Yeah. You don't have a relationship with him.
I mean, I really doubt he'll ever get out. Right. And so.
Unless he breaks out.
Unless he breaks out. I mean, he wouldn't know I was here.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know how to use social media.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't. I'm not worried that this person would contact me. We didn't have a good relationship before this happened, right? I think because where this person is from, he's from my hometown, Toledo, and they're just such pieces of shit on Toledo that I'm sure they're scouring my Facebook and then like probably sending him like, hey, Derek Humphrey made a fucking joke about you, in prison or whatever, and he's gonna get out and like beat my fucking ass, because prison. I've seen pictures of him, and prison hasn't made him look any nicer. He was already jacked up off of fucking steroids before. And now he's jacked up off steroids in prison, tatted the fuck up. Like
how's he getting steroids in prison?
I don't know. Maybe he was all natural the whole time, and those steroid beef was just a fake rap.
If he gets out, he's got a lot to lose if he's gonna try to beat your ass.
Yeah, but if you think about how much the world has changed since 1999, do you think if you get out now that you really just can even like identify or cope with like what this existence is? I hope he's reformed. I was kidding about the police reform thing. I think, or the prison reform. I hope that he is a reformed person or whatever. I don't like.
He might be better off than any of us getting out and like not being addicted to social media. You might get out of prison after the 90s and like be healthy mentally than anybody else who's been stuck on Instagram for the past 10 years.
That's a good one.
It honestly brings up a really good question, and this is real talk between two. So I'm just at this point, I'm assuming I'm talking to you two. I don't know how many followers Derek has, but at this point, I'm thinking it's like, what do we think the punishment like fits the crime type of situation? Like, what do you feel about Louis C.K.? Is like he lost his job, he lost millions of dollars. Is he not allowed to work now?
I think he is.
What's the deal?
I think he's paid his fucking time. I
mean, that's what you think, but like I literally just read, someone sent me a fucking article because someone was in an uproar that he did Dave Chappelle's like private show last week in Ohio.
That's the thing. The whole like someone is in an uproar thing is tough because I see articles now I actually saw some other article about that too, and it's like the whole article consists of 3 people's tweets who have like 20 followers complaining, and it's like people are mad, and it's like, what do you can always find 3 tweets to support any article you want to write. So I think part of it is like, you know what I think like when it comes to I thought about this earlier when it comes to like cancel culture, so to speak. I think the term herd immunity sort of applies there. It's like we need to reach a level of everybody bitching to where we sort of get herd immunity and we realize like we become immune to meaningless complaints online about nonsense. and then we get to some place where there's like some sort of reasonable discussion where there's a separation of your Louis C.K. and your Harvey Weinstein, and there's nuance between those.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, and like I said, I don't know. I'm not a fucking cop. I'm not a fucking judge, a jury. I am literally no one. But it's like one of those things, like, you make some mistakes. Does that mean that you're never allowed to work again? Or does that mean that, like, you've paid your dues to society? And then it's like, if that's the case, and if we have that same philosophy towards criminals that have been through the system, right? Because as a fucking felon, it is really hard to find a job in this society. Yeah. Like, it's almost impossible. Well, right? So it's like, where does it go ahead?
Oh, no, you're right. I mean, like, well, yeah, you're trying to figure out where the redemption is. Well, that's for an actually like convicted person. You know, these things are like culturally, these people are being hurt, and you know, and like I saw everybody was pissed off about Sarah Silverman being in that or taking that photo or whatever the case may be of like Louis C.K.
Well, I don't know what that is. What was that?
Oh, like Sarah Silverman.
She was in
that photo that Louis C.K. was in at Chappelle's show that he does out in the middle of Ohio. But okay, so
I know Michelle Wolf was. I
think Sarah was in the front row.
Show.
Sarah was in the front row. So anyway, as it relates to Bushwick Bears, I was asked by the New York Times if I would have Louis C.K. on a show. Now this was when he was like first coming back and everything like that, and a lot of the women who were performing on our show were saying that they didn't feel comfortable with him around. And so I said, well, these same women who perform at the Comedy Cellar, who also perform on our show, are saying that, you know, they feel betrayed or whatever. So I'm going to side with them. And I even was basically just, I understand where you're coming from for right now. No, but it's been like 3 years now. And the guy hasn't been able to perform in America. And it's like, and he said he was sorry. And then like, we don't know what happened with these people. It's not our personal lives anymore. But now it's like, okay, even a guy who said that, like, I wouldn't be comfortable with him. That's why Noam from the Cellar doesn't like me, is because Noam's like, well, yeah, of course you did, you know, because your show doesn't charge any money. And like, at the time he was right. But and he had like a populace he wanted to answer to.
You know, I'll say more importantly, Jericho, you said like, who am I? I don't matter. And I'll tell you what, you do matter, because this is the United States of America, and you have the power of your purchasing dollars. This is why my family came here from the Soviet Union, and why I see some of this as fucking Marxist bullshit, because you, as an individual, have a choice to buy a ticket to Louis C.K.'s show or to not buy it, as does every single other person.
Everybody else. I agree.
And so we have a criminal justice system, and if it falls outside of that, people can write articles, but then once it's like picketing in front of the Comedy Cellar, it is now, it's no longer, you know, it's not a system of justice. It's a minority trying to influence, or really trying to like assert the way that other free people are allowed to exchange their dollars for a service.
That's a fair observation for sure.
I just don't know what the end game is, because you have your opinion and you have your purchasing dollars that allow you to not go and not support this person. And so
Absolutely.
To me, it feels like flailing. It's like
dogmatic.
Flailing. It's a tantrum is what it is.
It's dogmatic and it's religious, in my opinion. It's like these people want to impose a set of morals on everybody else. It's a very subtle crusade, you know,
and I think what people don't realize is that like our ability to like, even like empathy and like the idea of like wanting it's limited. Like as an individual, the amount of like horror in the world that I can pay attention to, it's not like a either or, but it is limited. It is somewhat of a fixed pie to like how many people I can be considerate of at a time, how many crimes I can think about at a time and try to yearn for justice. But that's why there's no consistency in these things. That's why the same industry and the same people that might complain about Louis C.K. will book Mike Tyson in The Hangover and will like support him in his show, who's like pushed a woman down the right. He's like been convicted of a bunch of shit, and there's like
he's been convicted of a couple of things. They also hold up France as this bastion model of like,
and that's where Polanski lives. And
right.
Too.
And Polanski, like, I know he gets romanticized a lot by other filmmakers and stuff like that. Like, he was very romanticized by Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I was listening to the CIA and some guy who was like investigating the CIA and everything like that, and the Charles Manson murders, and they found in Roman Polanski's house, they found fucking like borderline snuff porn that he made of Sharon Tate and stuff like that. And, like, they listed a bunch of crimes that he committed outside of just like that child abuse or whatever. Like, there are enough crimes that if like Batman were real, he would fly into their country like he did in The Dark Knight, snatch him up outside of whatever ivory tower he's in, and bring him back. It's like, it's fucked up.
If he got caught drugging, what was it, like a 15-year-old?
14 or 15-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, it's not an isolated incident. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just have one off night and drug a child and have sex with them. Like, you're a person who, he probably did this fairly often and got away with it, and then this time got caught.
Oh, he was, I'm sure, involved in all sorts of like devious behaviors.
Of, like, otherwise upstanding individuals. Now.
Go ahead, finish what you were going to say, Boris.
I was just going to say there's not a lot of otherwise upstanding individuals who have an off night and drug a 15-year-old.
Right, yeah.
That doesn't generally happen.
I mean, just once.
But anyway, I was just going to say my greater point is that, like, it takes a decentralized system of justice that has courts and local municipalities and lawyers and police officers, which is the thing people don't like these days, to try to have some inkling of justice. But as far as like trying to write articles that everybody around the country is going to read and hopefully not go to see Louis C.K. shows, like, there's a very, very low threshold where this is no longer effective in any way of like holding guilty people accountable and making sure innocent people aren't held accountable. It's just not, it seems to me like not very efficient, and it seems to me like people throwing a tantrum when other people don't agree with their opinions.
It's also super selective too, because it was one woman who accused Joe Biden, of inappropriate touching publicly, and up until then everybody, and it was like one woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh. And you're just like, okay, well, we're going to believe you when it comes to Brett Kavanaugh because you don't like his politics versus, Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is probably, I'm sure, not an isolated incident, of him being fucking handsy with the broads,
I've heard very few people who are posting about how they're like Black Lives Matter marchers and trained Marxists, quote Marx, like referring to people as an N-word Jew. You know what I mean? Like, you can read it. There's no secret. And yet people are like, I'm marching for Black lives and I'm a trained Marxist. But I'm going to ignore this part of Marx that was a racist anti-Semite because it's convenient.
Well, he made some good points.
I don't know. So
Marx made a lot of great points.
I'm kidding. That was a joke. I have to remind everybody, this is a comedy podcast where
I know we've been talking very seriously.
Yeah, no. I have to. I tell everybody that usually off the top too, as a warning. Like, you might hear me. Like last week, I think I posted a clip about it, like talking about Joe Biden and his hypocrisy. Is like he helped build so many prisons and put so many black people in jail as part of fucking Clinton's fucking super predator program and everything, and it's like, I'm making fun of him. Like, these are just jokes. I don't like have any influence over anybody's vote or government, so I can joke about this shit all I want.
That's the problem, is like there's a lot of like assumptions on whether something's a good faith or bad faith argument, and when you make a joke that's making fun of Joe Biden, people automatically jump to the conclusion that like, oh, you must be for Trump if you're making fun of Biden. It's like, no, I just happen to be making fun of Biden at this point in time, and I'll make fun of Trump at the next point in time.
I haven't joined in the chorus of everybody making fun of Trump because it's boring. I mean, the best you could do is just lip sync his words. I'm sorry.
At that point, it's low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? It's the easiest one. I wanted to say two things about a couple things that both of you guys have said that I've been thinking about. It's like, I agree with Boris on the thing that, like, you know what? It's true. We're still fucking Americans, and like, our money is where our mouths should be. Like, I don't agree with Rush Limbaugh at all. I could be more of it. Do I want Rush Limbaugh to be fired and never allowed on the air? No, of course not. Because that's not what freedom of speech is. I choose to not listen to his bullshit. Does that mean I want him to not be around? No, of course not. Fuck it. Go over there. There's room for all of us, is what I'm saying with that. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we should put Alex Jones on NPR.
Alex Jones is a fucking crazy person, and if people want to listen to him, that's fine.
Yeah,
you know
no
what?
kidding.
I can change the fucking channel.
Alex Jones was the one who predicted that there were pedophiles on a plane with Bill Clinton. I mean, he wasn't like, I mean, granted, he throws 100 darts at the board. He's going to get one.
He's going to hit one or two.
It's like Nostradamus, like predicting shit. But yeah, he's also entertaining. Like Rush Limbaugh, I just wouldn't find interesting to even listen to. Alex Jones,
we wouldn't. But old people like Rush Limbaugh.
Right, but I've seen clips of Alex Jones that I found funny and fun to watch. And he was in A Waking Life, where he like played himself, and he was great.
But the thing is that's the thing that like a lot of people, especially I think young people, are missing from the point of what makes America so special is that those people exist.
Don't you dare say great.
Don't you say America's great.
Motherfucker, I chose my words perfectly, okay? One of the things that makes America special is that, you know what? You don't have to listen to those people.
Right.
Turn the fucking channel. Find what you want to listen to. I just don't think that, like, I think it's a very dangerous mindset to be like, everyone that disagrees with what I have to say and what I have to think deserves to not have a platform, and I don't want them on the air. I think that's a very dangerous place to be.
For sure. And here's the other thing is that, like, I also find that people who have straight up abhorrent points of views will have bits of useful information in them. Like, even like Nick Cannon recently, who was like semi-canceled, who I was like, dude, I do not give a shit what Nick Cannon has to say about Jews. Why are you getting mad? You're just legitimizing Nick Cannon's philosophies on race as if it fucking matters at all. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm happy to have him keep doing a TV show. Obviously, if he was doing a show where he was like educating the youth on Jews, that would be a little bit weird, and probably people wouldn't watch it. But like, you know, what's one that I defended that a lot of Jews get mad at? I came to this country as a Jewish refugee, and like, I'm not religious, but like, I have a certain idea of like, you know, not wanting to be back in Ukraine and knowing the way that Jews were treated there. But like, Louis Farrakhan is one that like a lot of Jews will get mad at.
Louis Farrakhan?
Yeah.
Farrakhan?
Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I thought you were making a joke.
Yeah, I thought you were making a You don't even know who Louis Farrakhan is.
Louis Farrakhan, man.
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan.
All right. Well, Louis Farrakhan. But anyway.
Louis Farrakhan's a totally different dude. He runs my bodega.
Well, Louis Farrakhan, I would not want canceled. I would, first of all, want all this shit online.
He can't be canceled.
Well, that too. He doesn't have like anywhere to be canceled from, really. But like, I wouldn't want him censored. I wouldn't want him taken off Twitter. But more importantly, I would even defend the fact that within an overarching ideology that I find to be obviously offensive and incorrect in many ways, he also has a bunch of stuff that he says about like, this will definitely get like hate from Jews, but like, he's got stuff that, if you've never met a Jew before and you've only worked in like the record industry and you've seen like Motown and black people get taken advantage of by record industry owners, like, there's valid points in that. There's valid points in record executives exploiting black music artists and when Louis Farrakhan says it, it's seen as anti-Semitic or offensive, especially because it's within the greater context of him saying a lot of other shitty stuff about Jews. But I wouldn't want that censored because I just wouldn't want. I want it to be out in the open so people know if this person's an anti-Semite. But also because there's valuable lessons for that. Why should I deny the black? Like, hopefully, people are smart enough to take the parts that make sense and to see the parts that don't make sense. And especially if you have it out in the open and then you have commentary on it that we might be having or elsewhere. But like, I wouldn't want the guy to like be taken off YouTube or to be taken off Twitter.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that we don't have an educated populace. I mean, you have people who have to sit there and basically say, I believe science, as if it's even like a belief thing, right? And then also, too, we're getting basically no discernible information. Insofar as I talked about this guy a lot. We talk about social media a lot on the show. There's a guy named Jaron Lanier, who is an author, a tech guy. He comes to my office every now and again. He gives these speeches about how evil social media is. And basically, he kind of says, like, the internet is a utility, and we're getting Flint, Michigan quality water out of our internet right now because it's a lot of garbage, and that a lot of things should actually be like pay subscriptions and stuff like that to use so that you can, so if there is misinformation out there, it's not for public discourse, it's because you have to like have it, you know. I
don't know if I follow that in full.
He articulates it better than I do, basically, but it's like,
can we do a podcast with him?
What's that? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I wish. He plays in Stephen Colbert's band.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Sometimes. Anyways, but I mean, I agree with you in principle about that, but there is a difference between like, I mean, look at our fucking obesity rate. If you would hope that people wouldn't eat Doritos, but I do, like, all the time, and it contributes to my bad health. And exactly. And you look at other countries or other places where that's like highly regulated and they don't have that sort of shit. They're healthier people. So you're like, what really is?
They're just too poor to eat enough to be fat.
No, not in like Sweden or Switzerland or places like that. Like,
man, but all that stuff too. Like, there's problems that come from affluence, and that's part of what America has. Now, I mean, listen, you know, I'm a healthy person. I try to eat well, and part of it is individual choice, and then part of it is the fact that like Sweden is. A lot of people like to compare us to Sweden. Sweden is like an ethnically homogenous state. It's a lot smaller of a country. You know what I mean? It's
I know. I don't think you could do that sort of thing with America unless you explicitly you can't even ban it because then there'll just be black market Doritos.
I mean, Bloomberg tried with the 40-ounce sodas, you know?
Yeah, I know. And you really need these things to kind of happen culturally. I hope when we do this as a podcast, Jericho doesn't get up and leave as much when we do.
He's like taking a shit in the corner of the room.
I know. No, he just straight up got up and walked out of the bedroom. And we got to ask him I know. We got to ask him also, this is a good lesson that we need to do this show in a room. Like all three of us in a room, so we don't have to go over the Zoom delay or you talk here or you talk there sort of thing. Like, we vibe so much better in a room than we do.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He
I had to pee. You guys were really firing, and I had to pee. Jeez,
you gotta do these things before the show.
Tequila all night. It's been 47 minutes of hearing you guys talk about fucking politics, and I had to pee. Okay. You know what I was doing before this? I was at a bar, sitting on a patio, socially distancing, drinking with my friends. And I left to do this because I love you guys and I fucking care. And I can't shit to take a piss.
I mean, that's really crazy that you were at a bar without a bathroom, Jericho.
Oh my goodness, it's been 50 minutes. You guys can hold you see, I drank a whole seltzer and about a third of a bottle of tequila. Okay? I'm just in it to win it, guys. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the other thing that that I really love to do, and I have a joke about this, but I do this all the time, is like, I'll argue, like, I don't care that much about half the points of views that I'll like argue and express, only because I try to present the strongest argument possible that goes against whoever I'm talking to. And this way I'll get the strongest arguments possible from them. So like,
it doesn't help when you're looking at the camera like that to explain this point of view. You look like you're getting like real devious in there. Like, listen, you.
Well, I just mean I can literally, like, I will argue with somebody who's pro-choice, and I will argue with somebody who's pro-life, and I would hope that I could do a damn fucking good job of both sides of it. And I'm pro-choice, and like, that's a perspective that I have come, that I basically always just believed it, but I see reasonable arguments and unreasonable as well, but I see reasonable arguments, and I like being able to argue either of those perspectives and to get away from that specific example. But like, I'll do that with different people, and I'll learn more, and I'll have a stronger argument for next time. And like, I have like, obviously my opinion and a way in which I'm inclined, but like, most things I don't feel that strongly about. The only things I feel strongly about are like caring for my friends and hoping that we have a country where you're generally free from oppression and that kind of stuff. But like, minutia of like Louis C.K., for instance, I don't care that much, but I want to be able to have the strongest argument possible. And I've argued with friends who like are like, he didn't do anything wrong. And I'll happily argue the other perspective and try to push back on them and be like, well, what about these women and how are they supposed to feel and like all that kind of stuff. But
okay, so Johnny Cash had the best quote about this. Is they asked him, "Are you a Christian? Or are you a Christian artist?" And he goes,
"Hold on, I have to take out my headphones." Really?
I can't even hear you now.
Oh, your mic's gone now.
Yeah,
Boris, you got to figure your mic out with me. To continue, Derek, tell me the Johnny Cash quote.
Yeah, now that Boris ruined this,
I can hear you and I'm back.
Oh, great. And so anyway, so they asked Johnny Cash, like, are you a Christian artist? And he said, I'm a Christian, I'm an artist, but I'm not a Christian artist. Because in order to be able to express that kind of art that he did, he had to be able to think things not from his Christian value system, which is kind of how I go about things. Because I definitely, like, I get flack from Trump supporter people I grew up with or know or friends or family with and whatnot, because I'll make fun of Trump. And it's like, you were laughing at when I was making fun of, whoever else, but you'd be surprised how much I kind of agree with like what I think there's a overlap that people don't address where it's like poor people should be educated better and should earn a higher wage of living. We shouldn't have such a lower standard of living. And it's like the left and the right can kind of agree upon that, but they don't agree on how to make it happen.
Or necessarily for whom to make it happen.
Right. Yeah, that as well. Politically, I just stand Andrew Yang. I'm not a Biden supporter whatsoever. I joke that I want to vote for Biden because culturally, I think that it'll make comedy better to have all the liberals and twinks in charge so that they can be made fun of again. Because right now, everybody's acting like they're all just precious commodity when it's like we're all just garbage. You're garbage too, and I want you in control so I can make fun of what a piece of garbage you are.
Right.
Here's my thing, Derek, and this is how I truly feel this way, and I think that it's true, especially towards us, you, Boris, and myself, is that we can make fun of whoever the fuck we want. We can say whatever we want, whenever we want. You know why? Because we don't have anything anyone can take away. So fuck it. Say what you will. There might be repercussions for some of the shit you say. That's always been the case.
Yeah, like you might get fans.
Well, I mean, you might. That is one thing. Yeah. And you might piss off some people who disagree with the shit that you have to say. The bottom line, if it's funny, it's funny. That's always been the case. That's still the case. And that won't ever change. I don't think. Well,
it just goes back to sorry, I'm just saying it just goes back to our insular circle of people is that it's when it starts being comics leading the call for it, that's when comics go down. Because more often than not, like unless you're like if you just be like, say you're going to see like a bad barber or whatever, but he can still keep his business going and whatnot. It's not going to be until like other barbers, I guess, really, maybe that's a bad analogy. Because I guess if he keeps giving really bad haircuts, but it's like once it turns into comics, like all shitting on a specific comic and telling them that they got to go, it shows that like, it shows the normal person like, well, your peers are saying this about you publicly.
Well,
so therefore,
look, Shane McGillis he got fired from SNL, but he's still working.
Shane Gillis?
Shane Gillis is still working.
If I said Fahrenheit wrong, we're now.
Yeah, you said you said McGillis, like Kelly McGillis' son.
I can't pay attention to any of this bullshit. But like, what I'm saying is that like, yeah, he got fired from SNL, but in what capacity any of us can work, he's working. He's fine.
He's doing fine, but like, I mean, it doesn't mean that the behavior of like trying to dig shit up is justified, obviously. And
no, those motherfuckers
probably gained more fans out of all of this than
absolutely.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like you can't look at somebody's pocket like that, because I saw another comic made that argument where they're like, "Well, he's doing fine." And you're like, okay, but what if he was on? You don't know that. What if he was on Saturday Night Live and he really blew up and he was able to take care of his family? Maybe pay bills for like his parents who are getting older and whatnot, and like set up like generational wealth. What if he had a kid or whatever? He wanted to get married, all this sort of stuff. And like you, especially as a fellow comic, are going, that's fine that he isn't able to do those things anymore. What right do you have?
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know. Okay. I know you're not.
What I'm saying is that like there's always going to be a consequence for your actions.
And he was willing to live with it too. He made the choice to not really apologize. So you're right. That is on him.
I think that's a good way to play it. Because
nobody's satisfied by an apology.
He didn't do anything wrong other than saying some stupid shit on a podcast or some dumb tweet.
We just did that for the last hour.
It's true.
Yeah.
But
I was auditioning for SNL this year.
Oh yeah, you're fucked, brah.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we decided is that we are going to do this as a podcast, the three of us, and if doing it through my YouTube channel is and our respective pieces of equipment have indicated is that we should do this in a room together. So we also aren't cutting each other off.
I miss your guys' musk. I'm not going to lie. There's a particular smell that both of you have that I miss so much.
Mine's Old Spice.
Mine is not wearing deodorant.
See, there's a thing.
My brother is like so horrified by it. Most people don't say anything. My brother, like every other time I see him, he's like, bro, you smell like shit. It's fucking disgusting. Stop wearing deodorant.
Anyway, so we should do this as a podcast I'm leaving on Friday. And we all just get back. I'm not that we're doing meeting minutes or anything like that, but we're going to do a podcast together. So this is the first unofficial Bushwick Bears podcast. It wasn't. I think we could do better.
Yeah. Less inside baseball for sure.
Yeah, I've been in such a bad mood for the past few weeks, and
what else is new?
I know. I've heard I'm a moody person. And I'm trying to work on that. I don't think it's that accurate, but whatever. Yeah. Well, this is like, I'm not trying to end the show necessarily.
Well, you know what I did today for the first time in my adult life?
What?
I bought a TV today.
Oh, wow.
Bought a TV.
From
I've never done that.
No,
come on. TVs are so cheap.
Are they now?
I bought it. Yeah, they're like literally like $180 for a big ass TV.
Oh wow!
And so I'm like, I'm spending all this time in my room. I might as well make it comfortable. I might buy a chair at some point.
Whoa!
That I'm gonna buy you.
Let's not go crazy here.
Let's not go crazy. But I bought a TV because I have this like literally an 11-inch computer that I've been watching TV off of. And I was like, I'm gonna get TV.
I bought a desk. I'm gonna turn.
He's doing work.
Yeah, we're gonna turn our second bedroom into kind of a storage like office space, basically, because we have a really nice bed in there. And I wanted to sell it before we moved, and then my wife decides after we moved, she's like, "We should sell this." I'm like, "Fucking moved all this for nothing." You know what I mean? I made Microcene carry.
You put your back into that. You hired some
carry my
comedians.
heavy ass mattress. Yeah.
you paid him a subpar rate to move your shit.
I paid him his quote, and then I used what Nick Cannon would describe as Jew tactics to get it lower.
I mean, I might describe it that way too.
I'm just kidding. I actually offered to pay them more money because I felt bad because they gave me such a great deal on it. But anyway, so I don't have to broadcast from my hallway anymore. Did you see, my walls used to be yellow. You remember that from the Bushwick Bears show?
Yeah.
We painted them. They are now French silver.
Nice.
They're looking nice, looking good.
This is what it's like to be married, guys, is to be excited for French silver walls in your household. And
Sure.
We're going to put a lot of plants and green things in here to make it a nice place to live. Are your guys' places super fucking hot?
Yeah, it's hot as fuck.
I'm house sitting right now.
Yeah, central AC.
My wife's, and they keep it nice and cool.
See, I want industrial society to just completely evaporate when we go back to, living in tree huts and whatnot. However, I really would kill somebody for central AC.
Like I would commit murder for central AC.
I would join my buddy in jail. For
you know where they got central AC, bro? In jail.
I know. In jail's better living than New York City apartments. Yeah, they have to have. They can't have window units. You just push the window unit out, and then you
right.
Then you escape. You jump in Alcatraz Bay and swim to shore.
Got windows.
And then Clint Eastwood makes a movie about it.
Yeah. How far is Alcatraz from San Francisco?
Not that far.
I feel like I could swim it.
You can't.
I think the whole point is that you can't swim it.
It's really cold water. It's hot. It's very fast tides, and there's sharks. I mean, someone in peak physical condition could.
Oh well, I'm fine couldn't. Then.
You could.
I'm fine then. I did kettlebells today.
When was the last time you went swimming?
Before COVID.
Okay, you couldn't. That was 5 months ago.
No, it's true. I really couldn't. I would have such a hard time with it. I feel like my adrenaline would kick in though, because I'm
always. I have that same thing where oh, I could do it. Look, it's right there. Oh, I can swim that.
Yeah.
And I was like, last time I tried to do laps in a pool, I literally got 1.5 laps, and I was like,
yeah. It's a bitch. That's why I miss doing it.
How many miles is in an Olympic pool? It's like 27 laps or something like that.
Yes, yeah, 26, 27 laps, yeah.
And I'm like, I got 1.5, and I was like, I could swim the English Channel tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's all mental.
And it's not whatsoever. It's definitely physically. I miss it. That was my low impact cardio.
I can't wake up every day and do 20 push-ups, okay?
Oh man,
I don't even have the mental fortitude to fucking swim the English Channel.
I did 30 push-ups today in sets. I jump rope. I was able to skip the rope 500 times. I've fucking been stepping my game up.
Do you know?
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, 500. What's that? What do you think the timing on that is? I always time my jump roping.
Oh, 500 seconds. I started jumping fast. I was doing like the skip it and then bounce twice and then skip it again, like, the slow person, like when you're getting into it. But now I finally got the rhythm down to do it fast, and I am fucking.
Do you think you could do it for 3 minutes straight?
No.
That's more. Wait,
Okay.
that's wait. 500 seconds is more than 3 minutes straight.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I was just saying.
No, he's just asking if I could do it 3 minutes straight.
Right, but
no, I couldn't. I could do it about 60 seconds straight.
Oh, so you didn't
Maybe.
do 500 in a row?
No, I can't do 500 in a row. I did 500
okay.
total.
I
was up to like 150, 175, and then once I figured out to get the rhythm to jump fast, now I'm up to 500. And I'm like, tomorrow I don't have a lot of time to work out. So I'm just going to try and do 1,000 as fast as I can. That's my goal, is to do 1,000.
That's really good. Like, I don't jump rope a lot, but when I do it, I'll do like between 60 and 100 in a row, and that'll take it out of me. Like,
I can do 50 in a row.
Yeah.
I do. I try to do a minute and 30 on, 30 off, a minute and 30 on, 30 off.
Oh, okay. That's also a good method. I need to figure out what to do. I want to get, for years I've been saying that I want to get back to playing basketball, but there's so many injuries at 40. I'll be 42 in January that are associated with playing just full court fucking basketball at this age. That I don't want to do it, but I need to get thinner, and I want to start doing jiu-jitsu or something to like, like a new sort of sport, or fencing. I don't know.
I was just trying to think. I was talking with some of my buddies earlier, and I was like thinking like the kind of shit, like what do you guys miss the most, and like what do you think isn't going to come back? Like I was talking about jiu-jitsu, which I miss very much, and there's no way to like socially distance do jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? Right. It's only like you got to have dudes sweat in your mouth. That's just kind of the drill.
Yeah, I know. That's the part I dread.
But I was thinking about strip clubs. Man, do you think strip clubs are ever going to come back?
There's a bunch of strip clubs in my new neighborhood. So
are they open?
No, they're not open, but I'm waiting. I haven't been to a strip club in years, but I miss. Well, you know what? It made me realize how much of my life is consumed by comedy, because the things that I was doing on the weekend before this started, I still do. I go hiking and I bike. And then at night I don't do anything because I can't do anything. It's not like comedy is canceled and the movies are open. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or like concerts are going on, because I just go find something else to do. But everything's done. So it's like, but I miss going to the movies, but I didn't even get to go to the movies a whole lot anymore, being like, I work full time, I do comedy full time.
You know what's funny? A big thing that I used to do that I haven't really done since comedy, A, because like at first I didn't really have the money anymore, and B, it's just like a lot of time, is go snowboarding. And but that you could probably still do right now. So
you can still do. Yeah, you're gonna be able to do that this winter when we're all locked inside.
I bet this winter I'm gonna get to do it more than I've done it since I started doing comedy.
Yeah, we're going snowshoeing. I mean, well, here's the thing: is like I really just miss doing comedy, and I miss hanging out with comedians and stuff like that. And I've been thinking about drinking just because I miss hanging out, and it would just give me that semblance of like hanging out. Something that I don't have it all anymore. And I went and hung out at some outdoor shows the other night, and it was cool for the most part, but it was like it wasn't the same, you know? And it would be cool if it came back in clubs. I just miss hanging out with comics. I'm glad that we got some stuff that we're going to get involved in doing that isn't, you know, live entertainment based coming up. Right. So that we can still put out some kind of like entertainment and content for people.
Right.
I mean, I miss having a weekly show, or at least something weekly to put out. Even though, I mean, when we had the monthly, we should have just started doing this when that happened. But whatever, it is what it is. So, yeah, I know. So hopefully our show comes back. There's been so much attrition in comedy. We'll get to have a daily show at the Stand Comedy Club. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll get out of here. Jericho can start doing some more salsa. This was a great hang. This was
fun. Thank you.
This was everything that I wanted and more.
Yeah, also I kind of really have to pee because, you know, I've done this crazy thing where I held it in for the duration.
Yeah, I got to go so bad. And I'm an old man with a small bladder. And I've been able to hold it.
I got two of them for you, huh? Two F-16s coming right at you, huh?
Oh, man. All right. Well, this has been great hang. On behalf of Jericho Davidson and Boris Heiken, we are the Bushwick Bears. Peace.